Open your bedroom closet, the one against the outside wall, and take a breath. If you smell something musty, that is humidity. It is in the closet where your clothes hang against the cold wall. It is in the bathroom where the mirror fogs. It is in the laundry room where the damp never quite dries. Every room in your house that stays closed or sits against an outside wall is holding more moisture than it should. And that moisture is feeding mold you cannot see yet. My father dealt with this his whole life. He kept a root cellar dry for over 40 years without a machine. He did it with a bucket of salt, not table salt, a rough salt from the hardware store, pellets the size of small pebbles. He put this salt into a bucket with holes in the bottom, set it on top of a second bucket, and the salt pulled water out of the air. The cellar stayed dry all winter. The same system works in your closet, your bathroom, your basement. But before I show you how, I need to tell you about a product on every hardware store shelf that uses the exact same salt and charges 10 times more. And about a neighbor who bought the wrong kind and wondered why nothing happened. I will get to that. In the next 28 minutes, I want to show you 3 things. First, how this salt pulls water from the air and why it works without any power or machinery. Because the answer is in the salt itself, and it is something my father understood without ever knowing the science. Second, why the companies that sell humidity products have turned a $4 bag of salt into a $12 branded container and a $300 electric machine, and why neither of them wants you to know that a bucket does the same job. And third, how to build the 2-bucket system in about 10 minutes for less than $5 total, including the 5 mistakes that will either make a mess on your floor, corrode something you care about, or do nothing at all because you bought the wrong kind of salt. That last one is a story from a neighbor that I need to tell you. Stay with me. I asked my father once how a bucket of salt could pull water out of the air. He said some salts are thirsty. This kind is very thirsty. That was his explanation, and it was enough for me at the time. But now I can tell you more. The salt my father used is a kind that the English call hygroscopic. That means it attracts water from the air, the way a magnet attracts iron filings. It does not just sit there waiting for water to land on it. It reaches out and grabs moisture from the air around it. It pulls so aggressively that it can absorb several times its own weight in water before it is satisfied. A 5-pound bucket of this salt can pull more than a gallon of water out of a humid room over the course of a few weeks. No electricity, no moving parts. The salt just sits there doing its work in silence. Now, why does humidity matter in your house? It is not just about comfort. Humidity is destructive. When the air holds too much moisture, that moisture settles on cool surfaces. The inside of your windows in winter, the walls of your basement in summer, the back of your closet where the air does not move. Wherever moisture settles and sits, mold follows. You have seen it. The black spots on the basement wall, the musty smell in the closet, the foggy windows that drip water down onto the sill, and the paint starts peeling. That is humidity doing damage slowly enough that you do not notice until it is too late. Have you ever opened a closet that sits against an outside wall and noticed a musty smell, even though nothing in the closet was wet? That smell is mold growing on the drywall behind your clothes, where the air is still and the moisture has nowhere to go. The mold feeds on the paper face of the drywall. It grows quietly in the dark for months. By the time you smell it, the colony is established. And the reason it grew is that the air in that closet was holding more moisture than the surfaces could tolerate. An electric dehumidifier solves this by pulling air through a set of cold coils that condense the moisture out of the air the way a cold glass of water sweats on a summer day. The condensed water drips into a tank or a drain hose. The machine runs continuously, drawing 300 to 700 watts, depending on the size. That is the equivalent of running several light bulbs all day, every day during the humid months. The electricity cost adds $50 to $100 to your summer power bill. The machine itself costs $200 to $300. It makes noise. It produces heat as a byproduct, which in summer is the last thing you need. And if the tank fills up and you forget to empty it, it shuts off, and the humidity comes right back. Now here is what my father's bucket of salt does. The salt sits in the bucket and does nothing visible. It just sits there. But at the microscopic level, something remarkable is happening. The salt is pulling water molecules out of the air and absorbing them into its crystal structure. The pellets get wet. They get smaller. They dissolve into a liquid as they absorb more and more water. The air around the bucket gets drier because the salt is drinking the moisture out of it. This kind of salt is what the English call hygroscopic. That means it attracts and holds water from the surrounding air. Not all salts do this. Table salt, the kind you put on your food, absorbs a little moisture in very humid conditions, but not enough to make a difference in a room. The salt my father used is different. It is far more aggressive about absorbing water. It can absorb several times its own weight in moisture from the air. A 5-pound bucket of this salt can pull a gallon or more of water out of a humid room over the course of a few weeks. And here is where the story about the product on the shelf connects to the bucket in my father's cellar. There is a product sold in hardware stores and grocery stores under brand names like Damp Rid. It comes in a small plastic container, usually white, with a top section that holds the salt and a bottom section that collects the liquid. The container holds about 1 pound of salt. It costs $8 to $12. You place it in a closet, a bathroom, a basement. The salt absorbs moisture. The liquid collects. When the salt is gone, you throw the container away and buy another one. 1 pound at a time. $8 to $12 at a time. The salt inside that container is the same salt my father bought at the hardware store in a 10-pound bag. The same compound, the same pellets, the same process. The only difference is the package. The 10-pound bag costs $4 to $5. The branded container holds 1 pound for $8 to $12. You are paying roughly 10 times more per pound for the privilege of having it in a plastic tray instead of a bucket. Have you ever bought something at the store and later found out you could buy the same thing in bulk for a fraction of the price? This is that. Except most people never discover it because the bulk version is in the ice melt aisle and the branded version is in the home improvement aisle, and nobody connects the two. The bag says ice melt with a picture of a snowy driveway. The container says moisture absorber with a picture of a dry closet. Same salt, different story, different price. And the branded container is designed to be thrown away when the salt is used up. You cannot refill it easily. Every 30 to 60 days, you buy a new one. Over a summer, that is 2 to 4 containers. $16 to $48 for salt that costs $4 in a bag. The container is designed to be replaced. The bucket is designed to be refilled. One generates ongoing purchases, the other does not. I will let you guess which one the store puts at eye level. Do you understand why I find that frustrating? Not because the company is evil. The container is convenient. It requires no setup. But $4 of salt in a bucket does the work of $40 to $50 of branded containers. And the bucket works for months. The branded container runs out in 30 to 60 days. Here is how to build the system my father used. It takes about 10 minutes. Step 1. Buy a bag of ice melt salt from any hardware store. The bag should say calcium chloride on it. This is important. Not all ice melt is the same. Some bags are sodium chloride, which is regular rock salt. Sodium chloride does absorb some moisture, but far less than calcium chloride. You want the bag that says calcium chloride, chemical formula CaCl2. It usually costs $4 to $6 for 10 pounds. Step 2. Get 2 buckets. 5-gallon buckets from the hardware store work well. They cost about $3 each, or you may already have them. Drill small holes in the bottom of one bucket. The holes should be about 1/4 inch, spaced about 1 inch apart across the bottom. This is your salt bucket. Step 3. Set the bucket with holes inside the bucket without holes. The drilled bucket sits on top, the solid bucket sits on the bottom. Pour the calcium chloride pellets into the top bucket. About 5 pounds is enough for a bedroom or closet-sized room. For a full basement, use the whole bag. Step 4. Place the stacked buckets in the room where humidity is a problem. Against the wall, in the corner, anywhere out of the way. The salt begins absorbing moisture from the air immediately. You will not see it happening at first. Over the next few days, the pellets will start to look wet. They will shrink. They will eventually dissolve completely into a clear liquid that drips through the holes into the bottom bucket. Step 5. Check the bottom bucket every week or 2. When it has a few inches of liquid, carry it outside and pour it on a gravel area, a patch of bare ground, or down a drain. Do not pour it on grass or garden plants. The concentrated salt water will kill vegetation. Pour it where nothing grows, then add fresh pellets to the top bucket. Now I need to tell you about my neighbor's mistake because it explains why the kind of salt matters. An English couple down the road heard about our method and decided to try it in their basement. The husband went to the store and bought a bag of ice melt, but the bag he bought was sodium chloride, regular rock salt, not calcium chloride. He filled the bucket, set it in the basement, and waited. After a week, almost nothing had happened. The pellets were barely damp. The bottom bucket was dry. The basement was still humid. He came to me and said, "Amos, your method does not work." I asked him what salt he bought. He showed me the bag. I told him he bought the wrong one. Regular salt absorbs moisture the way a sponge absorbs a drip from a faucet. The ice melt salt absorbs moisture the way a towel absorbs a puddle. They look similar in the bag, but they work very differently. He went back to the store, bought the right bag, and within 3 days the bottom bucket had water in it. Within 2 weeks, his basement smelled different. The mustiness was fading because the air was drier and the mold had less moisture to feed on. Step 6. In winter, if you use calcium chloride for your driveway anyway, the same bag serves both purposes. Dehumidifier in summer, ice melt in winter. One purchase, 2 uses. Our people have always thought this way. Use what you have for as many purposes as it serves. If you are thinking about the closet or the basement that always smells musty, I would be glad to have you stay with us. What I am sharing next week is something I think every homeowner needs to see. I want to explain why the electric dehumidifier industry does not want you to know about the bucket method, and I want to be fair about it. An electric dehumidifier is a machine. Machines are sold by companies. Companies have employees, factories, distribution networks, and advertising budgets. A bucket of salt is a commodity. Commodities are sold by whoever has them. There is no brand loyalty to a bag of ice melt. There is brand loyalty to a dehumidifier that has a name, a model number, a warranty card, and a customer service line. The dehumidifier industry exists because it built a product category around a problem that a bag of salt solves. I am not saying the machines are bad. They work. They work well. They are precise and adjustable, and some of them drain automatically. But they cost $200 to $300. They add $50 to $100 to your electric bill each summer. They make noise, they produce heat, and they break. When they break, you either repair them for $100 or replace them for $300. A bucket does not break. A bag of salt does not need a warranty. And if the bucket cracks, you buy another one for $3. The branded containers, like Damp Rid, are even harder to defend. They are the same salt in a smaller package at a higher price. The convenience of the plastic tray over the bucket is real, but it is a convenience that costs 10 times more per pound. And the container generates ongoing purchases every 30 to 60 days. A bag of salt generates one purchase per season. The business model, again, favors the product that runs out faster. Now, I need to be honest about the limits. The bucket system works well in enclosed spaces: closets, basements, bathrooms, storage rooms, and garages. It works less well in open floor plans where humid air circulates freely from room to room. The bucket can only absorb the moisture near it. In a large open space, it will dry the air in its immediate area, but may not affect the far side of the room. For large open basements, use 2 or 3 buckets spread across the space. Calcium chloride is corrosive to metal. Do not place the bucket directly next to bare metal tools, iron fixtures, or steel appliances. Keep it a few feet away. The salt absorbs moisture from the air, not from surfaces, so proximity matters less than you think. But if salt brine spills on a metal surface, wipe it up promptly. The brine in the bottom bucket is concentrated salt water. Keep it away from children and pets who might drink it. It will cause stomach upset if swallowed in quantity. Put the bucket in a spot where small hands and curious animals cannot reach it. And the bucket method is passive. It works continuously but slowly. An electric dehumidifier can dry a flooded basement in hours. The bucket cannot. If you have standing water or active flooding, you need the machine. The bucket is for ongoing humidity management, not emergency water removal. Here are 3 mistakes that will ruin this. Mistake number 1. Using sodium chloride instead of calcium chloride. I told you the neighbor story. Check the bag. It must say calcium chloride. Regular rock salt barely absorbs anything at normal humidity levels. Mistake number 2. Forgetting to empty the bottom bucket. The brine fills up. If it reaches the bottom of the top bucket, the salt sits in its own liquid and stops absorbing efficiently. The liquid needs somewhere to go. Check it weekly. My father checked every Saturday morning. He made it part of his routine the way he checked the animals and the fences. 10 seconds to look, 2 minutes to empty if it needs it. Mistake number 3. Placing the bucket in the center of the room where people walk past it and kick it. Put it in a corner against a wall. out of the path. The salt water in the bottom bucket is concentrated brine. If it spills on a hardwood floor, it will leave a white stain. If it spills on carpet, it will be difficult to remove. If a child or a dog drinks it, it will cause stomach trouble. The corner of the room, behind a chair, next to the wall, out of the way and out of reach. Mistake number 4, using the bucket in a large open room and expecting it to dry the whole space. One bucket works well in an enclosed area, a closet, a bathroom, a small bedroom with the door mostly closed. In a large open basement, the bucket dries the air near it, but the far side of the room stays humid because the air circulates freely and the moisture replenishes faster than the salt can absorb it. For a large space, use 2 or 3 buckets spread across the room. One in each corner works well. The cost goes from $4 to $12, still less than a single month of running the electric machine. Mistake number 5, and this is the one that explains why you have been paying for a machine or a branded product to do what a bucket of salt does. Believing that controlling your home environment requires a purchase that plugs into the wall. An electric dehumidifier is a machine that does what salt does. It does it faster and with more precision, but it costs more to buy, more to run, and more to fix. The salt does it slowly and quietly and for almost nothing. My father managed the humidity in a root cellar for 40 years with a bucket and a bag of salt. The vegetables lasted all winter. The walls stayed dry. The air was clean. He never plugged anything into a wall because there was nothing to plug into. And the cellar worked. It worked every year. It cost him about $4 per season and 10 minutes of attention per month. Let me give you the simple numbers. An electric dehumidifier costs $200 to $300 to buy, and $50 to $100 per year in electricity. Over 10 years, $700 to $1,300. Over 30 years, $1,700 to $3,300. A bag of calcium chloride costs $4 to $5 per season. 2 buckets cost $6 one time. Over 30 years, $120 to $150 total. And no noise, no heat, no electricity, no machine to repair or replace. My father did not know the science behind why the salt absorbed water. He knew that it did. He knew that the rough salt from the hardware store worked and the table salt from the kitchen did not. He knew that a bucket with holes and a bucket without holes was all the equipment he needed. He knew that if the cellar was dry, the food lasted. And he knew that paying for a machine to do what salt does for free was not something our people do. I think about my father's cellar often. Stone walls, a dirt floor packed hard, wooden shelves along both sides. The bucket sat in the corner by the door. The vegetables were lined up on the shelves in order. Potatoes on the bottom because they like it cool. Canned jars on top. Carrots buried in boxes of sand. Every item in its place and the whole system managed with knowledge and attention, not machinery and money. That cellar fed our family through 6 months of winter every year. My father checked the bottom bucket every Saturday. He added salt when the top was low, 10 minutes per week, $4 per season, and the food lasted. He told me once that the English love machines because machines make you feel like you are doing something. Salt just sits in a bucket. It does not hum. It does not light up. It does not have a dial. It does its work in silence, and you only know it is working when you pour out the water it collected while you were not watching. He said, "There is a kind of wisdom in a thing that works without needing your attention." I think he was right. There is one more thing worth saying. The electric dehumidifier produces heat as a byproduct. It takes moisture out of the air, but it puts heat in. In summer, when you are already fighting to keep the house cool, the dehumidifier is warming the room while drying it. You solve one problem and worsen another. The bucket of salt produces no heat. It absorbs moisture at room temperature and changes nothing else about the room. It does one job and creates no side effects. That simplicity is not a limitation. It is a feature. The salt is at any hardware store for $4. The buckets are on the same aisle. The humidity in your house is waiting for something thirsty enough to drink it. $4, 10 minutes, and a room that smells like dry air instead of mold. My father would tell you the same thing if he were here. He would say it simpler than I did. He would say, "Get the rough salt and put it in a bucket." He was not a man who wasted words. He did not need to be. The bucket did the talking. The humidity in your closet, your basement, your bathroom is the same humidity my father managed in a root cellar with a dirt floor and no electricity. The salt has not changed. The moisture has not changed. The only thing that changed is that someone figured out how to put the salt in a plastic container with a label and charge you $12 for what costs 50 cents. And someone else figured out how to build a machine that does the same job and charge you $300 plus a monthly electric bill. My father would have looked at both of those options and said what he always said when the English made something simple into something expensive. He would have shaken his head and gone back to his bucket. The salt is $4. The bucket is $3. The humidity in your closet, your bathroom, your basement has been waiting for something thirsty enough to drink it. And the thing about that salt is that it never stops being thirsty. It works while you sleep, while you eat, while you are not even in the room. It asks nothing from you except to be emptied once a week and refilled once a season. That is the kind of help that the modern world has forgotten how to. If you want to hear what I am sharing next week, that is on your screen now. Stay with us.